Well, it's time for the 9th annual Pigskin Preview here on 3 Point Podcast. We're presented by Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. Participate in their September walking program with prizes available. The goal is to average 8,000 steps a day. Details on their Facebook page. Our other great partners, they include AZee Branding Agency, Blackstone's Public House, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori and Associates Real Estate Services. Also on board, Lebowsky Center for Performing Arts, Mars Furniture and Mattress Barn, Nelson House Funeral Homes, and Nichols Painting. Also helping us out, Pickpocket Sports and Outdoors, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, Shiawassee County Fair, ALS of Michigan, and Z92.5 The Castle. You know, we always have, during the school year, a prep spotlight presented by Jacobs Insurance Agency. They're local, independent, and trusted. Well, this whole podcast focuses on high school football in the state of Michigan. We have experts from Marquette to Detroit, from Grand Rapids to the Thumb. It's going to be a lot of fun. And one of the cool things are trophy games. And guys, you may know it, but I've always been obsessed with trophies since winning my first one in 1969.
Well, as the podcast historian, meaning the old guy, I want to look at trophy games. I'll lay it out, and we can discuss it a bit before we get to our experts. Maybe this segment can be called History According to Theo. But anyway, trophy games have been around at the collegiate level for a long, long time. In fact, the Victory Bell started in 1888 for the Cincinnati and Miami of Ohio contest. The Territorial Cup has been around since 1899 for the Battle of Arizona, and of course here in the Midwest, the coveted Little Brown Jug is handed out to the winners of the Michigan and Minnesota game going all the way back to 1903. And who can forget the MSU Michigan winner? They get to pose with the Paul Bunyan Trophy. Michigan high schools have played for some really cool hardware as well throughout the years. One of the oldest goes back to 1911 for the UP matchup between Newberry and Sault Ste. Marie. A Newberry druggist donated a jug just like the Little Brown Jug to go to the winners. Going back even further to 1893 is the Totem Pole Prize given to the winner between Kalamazoo Central and Battle Creek Central. Back to the far north of the UP is the award given out to the winner between Houghton and Hancock, fittingly named the Copper Bowl. And sadly, one of the coolest rivalries no longer exists because of school consolidations. The Letterman's Trophy was first awarded in 1948 to Saginaw High and Saginaw Arthur Hill's winner. Locally, Corunna had played Chesaning since the 1940s, but the game took a break because of conference realignments. The schools were able to get back together again periodically, and the first Old MMB Trophy was handed out in 2012, a 27-8 Indian victory. In 1997, the long-anticipated first matchup between Owasso and Corunna finally became a reality. The Trojans prevailed in a heart-stopping 30-27 comeback classic. At stake was a milk can that the winners would paint the score on and keep until the next meeting. The game took a 4-year hiatus in 2003, and the milk can, well, it mysteriously came up missing as probably in some former player's basement. That brings us currently to 2026, and after years of discussion, a new perpetual trophy will be given out to this year's winner. 3 Point Podcast had a contest to come up with a name, and after review by the trophy panel, it came down to Shiawassee River Rivalry Trophy or Shiawassee Showdown Trophy. Well, the winner of the Shiawassee Showdown will get a beautiful new trophy with a picture of Owasso's Kerwood Castle on one side with the county courthouse in Corunna on the other side, and right down the middle flows the Shiawassee River. The Shiawassee Showdown takes place at Nick Anise Stadium this year on Friday, September 25th. Good luck to both schools.
All right, guys, before we discuss, I want to give special thanks to the Owasso Sports Boosters and the Corunna Athletic Club for splitting the trophy cost. Also, the two ADs, Corunna's Chris Dinas and Owasso's Nick Van Duser. Finally, kudos to Byron Shattuck at Deluxe Trophies and Awards and Jonathan Saylor of Sky Sailor Dynamic for the beautiful photo work. The big question I have really is, where is that milk can or milk jug that used to be the trophy in the Owasso Corunna game?
This is what I'm going to guess. I don't know, Jared, what your theory would be. I'm going to guess it's either buried. I think we talked about this before, but I remember when I was in high school, there's the way it used to be. I don't know, maybe laid out differently. When you walk into high school, the Corunna High School, you know, the gym's on your left over there, and the men's bathroom was straight ahead. There was like a utility closet. There was a like hidden stairway up there. And I remember one time, me and a couple buddies, like during class, we just somehow made our way up there, and there were piles of trophies up there. We got up there and we were like blown away. We were almost going to start looking around like, what the heck are all these trophies? I was going to say, I bet it's either buried, either at the Corona High School, somewhere like that, Owasso High School, somewhere like that, just some big utility closet somewhere, or one of the last teams that won it, it ended up at a party somewhere afterwards and it just got lost in a field or in a barn or something like that. And it's just buried, like those barn find cars that you find that are buried in dust and someone restores them. I'm going either that. It's buried in some utility closet or it got lost at some party after a game.
Yeah, I'm thinking it ended up at a frat house from somebody that was a senior, took it with them, and then probably just got tossed, man, once they moved out of the apartment. Or it's in your basement somewhere. Ted, you have a whole lot of newspapers and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised, man, if it's somewhere underneath a couple boxes in your basement behind you there.
It's one of the few that's not here, but yeah, it's an interesting thing. You talk about those trophies at Corona, man. I know Sid Sawyer, his office area there it's full of trophies and memorabilia and stuff. And I know there's some of the older ones are at the Corona administration building where the superintendent John is. So I know there's some pretty cool ones there. Now, I'm not sure where all the old historic ones are at Owasso, but I tend to agree with you. Some kid had it, kept hold of it. It went to a frat or somewhere. They're drinking mixed Kool-Aid out of it, whatever. But they have a brand new trophy now that they can pass on.
And that's the big thing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad.
I was just going to say the Shiawassee Showdown. We had a lot of back and forth, a lot of suggestions from our listeners, but I think the panel has settled on that one. I think it's a pretty cool name.
Yeah, I'm excited for that game to come down the line. What is that, week 4 or 5, I believe? That's going to be an awesome game.
End of September, yeah.
Yeah, and then, but honestly, I'm excited for Corona's opening game against Durand. The battle for M71 is everything's a rivalry now. Everything's there'll be a trophy for that game next year. But that's a great game, great first game of the year, I think, for both teams to kind of figure out where they're at, and it's you're a little bit familiar with each of the programs and probably some of the kids that you're playing against. So I'm really excited for that, but most importantly, man, I'm just excited for football, and I'm excited for this podcast. I think we got a lot of good media experts, and I'm excited to hear their thoughts on what is one of the best states, I think, for high school football, especially when you consider a city like Detroit that's churned out more NFL players than any city out there. So. Yeah,
I think it's you've talked about that a lot, all the NFL players from Detroit, but it's the overall. I mean, there's some states that are like very top heavy, but I mean, I've kind of peeked at some of our segments, and Geoff Kimmerly from the MHSAA, he's a staple of this podcast. He always chimes in with some new rules or new things going on within the MHSAA, and he threw out some numbers. It's not going to be accurate. You'll have to listen to hear the specific numbers, but there's something like 120 8-man football teams now. It's like something like 600-ish of 11, 120 or so 8-man. So you go all the way, like you said, the top tier programs from West Michigan, from Detroit, all the way down to the 8-man football. There's just high quality high school football all over the state. And I mean, it might not be as noteworthy as maybe like a Florida or Texas or Ohio or something like that, but I think there's a lot of great football across Michigan.
There really is, and I think you're seeing a trend of more and more 8-man football at the lower levels. I think not that far in the distant future, we're going to probably see 4 classes of 11-man and 4 classes of 8-man playing at the Ford Field before it's all said and done. A couple big programs this year not even having varsity football. Sheboygan and Gull Lake, a couple of the, I think, D3 or D4 schools just having problems getting people to play. And the rise of soccer really has put a damper on it, I think.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shame. I think Gull Lake was at Ford Field, 6-7 years ago, if I'm remembering right. So that is insane to think about. I don't know if it's soccer. I don't know if it's the worry of concussions. I don't know if it's maybe kids just aren't playing as much sports. Mm-hmm. But hearing the number, what'd you say, Matt? 600 11-man teams and 100 roughly like 700 total teams. It seems like it seems like football's not going away. And I think we're all glad for that. I just have one quick thing to share. It's funny. Every year we do this podcast and it gets me thinking back to high school. I think we all kind of think back on our playing days a little bit. And especially with this, we've been talking so much about this Corona-Owasso rivalry that it has me thinking about my favorite rivalry moment that really didn't even happen on the field. So it was the week of my senior year, and I was staying at my buddy's house with probably 5 or 6 of us that were on the team, right up the road by my buddy Cooper. And it was the week of the Owasso game, and all of a sudden it's 1 a.m., 2 a.m. We're just messing around playing video games or whatever, and you know it when it happens. When the doorbell rings 10, 15 times as quickly as it possibly can, you just know you almost, it's like instinctual. Everybody, all of us spring up. We know we're getting ding dong ditched. So we race up the stairs and run out out his front door. And there's a car squealing down the road. We know the car. It's an Owasso football player. But more notably, we start, kind of chase him out of the neighborhood a little bit, like maybe 10, 15 steps out the front door as the car's squealing away. We look, and out the back of their truck is his mailbox. They literally ripped his mailbox out of the ground, which I think is literally a federal crime.
Right.
Ripped his mailbox out of the ground and took it with him. And I just remember him saying, he's like, basically along in less nice words, basically like they're going to pay for that. So I don't know if you guys have seen, so we fast forward a week later, and it's Friday night, we're playing them opening game of the year, and they weren't any good. And it was, really a question of how much are we going to beat them by, 30, 40, 50. So it really wasn't this high stress game. It's kind of like, let's go pound these guys. So if you've seen Longest Yard, especially I guess the Adam Sandler edition, that very first play when they're playing the guards, it's like mayhem. It's like, it is like not even worried about football. Yeah, it's just like we're gonna try to murder these guards. And I kid you not, we had a couple college football players on our offensive line just outweighing these guys by 100 pounds. I kid you not, the ball is snapped, and this first snap is like pancake galore, holding galore. We had like 3 or 4 penalties on our offensive line on this first play, just out for blood. And ended up basically stalling out the whole drive from play number 1. And I just felt like Adam Sandler, all right, now you guys got your payback. Now protect me. He's got how it felt. But it was just hilarious to see this right up the road, 10 minutes away, this rivalry where it's getting so personal that mailboxes are getting ripped out of lawns and payback is getting taken on the field because of it. Stuff like that. I remember a lot more than the wins or the losses. I remember those funny moments where that's what makes high school football special, and especially a good rivalry game.
Well, that's what makes it special, because I'm sure those are the stories that, we've talked about it a number of times, but those are the stories that you laugh about with your buddies when you get back together and you start talking about high school football. Maybe some of the like wins come up, or like a playoff win or something, but really you start talking about those funny stories right there. The Owasso Corona, it really is it's a great rivalry. Is it littered with state champion teams? No, not necessarily, but it really is a great crosstown rival, and it's one that I'm glad that you put the effort in to get the trophy, because I think it's really cool. The trophy games just kind of up the ante a little bit, especially for those crosstown rivals. I mean, you get the federal offenses of mailboxes involved sometimes, or the ding dong ditch or whatever. I mean, we all have stories like that, especially with the Owasso game or the Durand game. Chesaning was a little bit of a drive, so not necessarily like a crosstown rival, but the Owasso Corona one is definitely one that I think deserves a trophy. I did see, I was going to tell my story real quick. I did see that it was Goodrich and Brandon also has a milk jug. Our friend that's going to be chiming in later from the Flint Prep fan, Aaron Houle, he had a series earlier this summer going through some rivalry games, and I think I saw the Goodrich and Brandon rivalry plays for a milk jug also. It's like the M15 milk jug. But then I did a quick Google search too. I mean, obviously the Little Brown Jug is huge. It's one of the most iconic ones for Michigan and Minnesota, in college. There's a ton of high school teams rivalries that play for a Little Brown Jug.
Yeah, there is.
They have their version of the Little Brown Jug. One of them being, I saw Newberry versus Sault Ste. Marie. Goes all the way back to like 1923 or something crazy. They play for a Little Brown Jug. So that's just kind of funny to think about. Everyone kind of throws something in. So the Shiawassee Showdown will be, hopefully some kid doesn't win it and take it to some party afterwards and trash the trophy or something.
Well, I'll tell you, this has been a great year, or it's going to be a great year for Z92.5 carrying games. We're having the Durand Corona game again, longtime rivals, M71 battle, whatever you want to call it. Got the old MMB trophy on the line for week 9, Chesaning and Corona. Okay. And of course, Owasso right there smack in the middle. I mean, this is a super year here locally to be involved in those games, Now, you talked about back when you guys played. I wish I could think of some really good things. I mean, we had some highlights, but I won't get into the highlights. I'll get into the lowlights, a couple lowlights, because John, my brother, Jared's dad, threw me under the bus in a recent article in his Fattel forum in the newspaper. It was about the Durand and Corunna rivalry throughout the years. My dad played in it. Both my other brothers played in it. Jared, you played against Durand, or was that?
Yeah, we played him. We played him one time.
Okay. Well, my two experiences with Durand was both crushing losses. I mean, my junior year, we got just absolutely drilled. In fact, it was supposed to be Nick Anissa's final game as a head coach, and we got pounded by Lloyd Lamphere and Durand. And I remember getting on the bus after that, and he says, "There is no way I'm retiring after that fiasco." And then the following year, we had a pretty good team and a pretty good season. We were 1 point away from going into the Durand game, this week 9 game, undefeated, and we ended up losing by a couple touchdowns. They scored a late touchdown to make it look worse than it was. But my whole high school career, guys, I never beat Durand in basketball or football. That's what I get to live with. Yep.
Yeah, you can't live that down. Yeah, I mean, when I was coming through, Durand was on a little bit of a downtick, maybe. Mm-hmm. We were just smashing them on the football field and the basketball court. They had some good individual athletes, but I did see a guy that, a friend of the podcast, he listens, and a friend of Corunna Athletics, Joe Zadunik. He graduated in my class. He was an offensive lineman, defensive lineman for my team, but he did transfer over from Durand when we were in high school, and he helped organize. I think there's a number of people involved, but there's a Corunna Durand friendly banter type of tailgate before the Corunna Durand game. I think that's super cool.
Great idea.
Together, grill out some food, and some alumni and some other families and friends and stuff getting together before the game, and then go over to the field and watch the game. That's really cool. So good on Joe kind of helping organize that. I think that'll be a fun thing to do. But yeah, real quick, the Owasso Corunna game always brings up funny memories, because Ted, you might remember broadcasting these games. So 01, 02, Owasso made the playoffs for I'm pretty sure the only time in program history, except maybe like the COVID year in 2001. And that season, we played them. It was my junior year, and we got rained out on Friday night, and we had to finish the game Saturday morning. And well, this was, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The year before is when that happened, where they had to finish on Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm.
My junior year, there was also a rain delay, but we went and sat, it was at Corunna, we went and sat in the middle school for like 2 hours waiting for the rain to pass. We're just sitting in the hallway in the middle school, just sitting there in our pads, just sitting there. Coaches are kind of like, get up, walk around, try and do some stuff. And then we had to go back out and finish the game. They had a pretty good team that year. They made the playoffs. They beat us. But so my senior year, we came back. We were at historic Wilman Field, and we were wanting to make a statement. We beat them by like 30 points. But a funny story, fourth quarter, game was over. We were up by like 30. Game was over, but they still had their starters in. Our second stringers, offense, defense, were already in, and they were trying to get some points on the board. Well, Coach Herrick got a little, I guess it ruffled his feathers a little bit. So when we got the ball back on offense, he put us starters back in. And the next play, John Skodak, he was our running back, busted one up the sideline, and I was coming from the opposite side. I mean, my eyes were this big because I saw their safety coming across the field.
Crackback.
I laid him out. Ref didn't like it, though. Called me for a blindside block, and the touchdown came back. But point was made. That's one of my favorite Owasso Corunna memories. But friend of the podcast, too, Jason Hutton, who always chimes in, gives us all the goods on West Michigan. Jared, he texted Jared and I. His son had a baseball tournament a few weeks ago or a month or so ago at Kiwanis Field. There in Owasso, and he told us that he went over and checked out Wilman Field, and he said it's lives up to all the hype. He said, I forget his exact words, but how cool
nice.
It's right there in the neighborhood, on the river. And he was like, I can see why you guys hype up historic Wilman Field. I was
just going to say,
awesome field. It's all diamond. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a blind side. I played like a coward when it came to football, so I guess the quarterback is the only position I ever could have played. Because I guess it's kind of somewhat of a good thing to avoid injury and that sort of thing. I never had that moment of a blind side block like that, but I can just imagine it is like one of those things where the whole sideline goes crazy and the crowd goes, and it's like, it almost is like you don't feel the contact of it at all. It's just like, it's just pure adrenaline. So it is amazing when that happens. And it is like maybe the most electric play in football is on those crackbacks like that. So
yeah,
it gets you excited, man, for what's gonna be a great year of football.
That was actually one of my memories too. It's funny, back when I played, the blindside crackback was legal. And we played Ithaca, and my nemesis on the basketball court and football, his name was Kelly Williams. And Jeff Golombisky broke out into the open, then cut back, and then I just had him totally set up. It was so fun because you never get your name in the paper for stuff like that. But I still have the article where it says, and Golombisky was freed by a crushing block by Ted Fattel. So that was pretty cool, man.
That is awesome.
That's not a paper that you're giving up in the basement purge.
Absolutely not, for sure. By the way, one other big game I did want to mention before we get to our experts, Flint, you have Flint connections, Matt, and they had the big game every year before the playoffs began. They started what was called the Turkey Bowl every Thanksgiving between Flint Central and Flint Northern. It started in 1928. It moved to Flint's brand new Atwood Stadium in 1930, but they drew up to over 20,000 people for those games. And it was always played on Thanksgiving Day, packed it in. I mean, those were big time memories for a lot of the old timers out there. And you think about Flint Central, Flint Northern, two schools that no longer exist either.
Right. That's a shame to think about that. Even Atwood Stadium, I know, has gone through some changes. So would they schedule that game before or after the Lions game? Because to draw 20,000 people, if it was at the same time as the Lions, that's impressive.
Yeah, I don't think they gave any consideration to it in a lot of the years too. It was before TV, so it didn't really matter, right? Yeah, true. So, by the way, I should just chime in too about the Owasso playoff situation. I think they made the playoffs 3 or 4 times, including the COVID year. Bruce Bendix took them the first time. Tom Harkema took them. They even actually won a game up at Calloway.
2012.
Yeah. So
maybe 01 might have been the first trip, but I may be
probably in a long time.
Probably right. Yep. All right. Well, that gets us kind of caught up to date. Let's now turn things over to our experts from throughout the state of Michigan. We hope you enjoy this one. I think you will.
Jacobs Insurance Agency has served Shiawassee County and the surrounding areas since 1977. Just like 3 Point Podcast, we've had 3 generations: Gary Jacobs Sr., Gary Jacobs II, Brian Jacobs, and myself, Noah Jacobs, serving our community with offices in Waterford and Owasso on M21, just west of Home Depot. Stop in or go online to jacobsinsurance.com to get a quote or get your questions answered by our team. Jacobs Insurance is a proud supporter of our local schools and the proud sponsor of the Prep Spotlight. Insure everything, local, independent, and trusted. It's our family working together to protect yours. That's the Jacobs way.
Are you ready to take your brand to the next level? Look no further. Introducing AZee Branding Solutions, where we help grow your brand from A to Z. At AZee, we're committed to helping businesses and organizations like yours reach new heights. Our full-service print and digital branding agency is your one-stop destination for all things branding. Need a stunning web or graphic design that captures your essence? We've got you covered. Want captivating social media content that engages your audience? Done. And that's not all. We're experts in video production and photography, ensuring your brand tells a compelling visual story. Plus, we specialize in screen printing and embroidery, turning your brand into wearable art that speaks volumes. Whether you're a startup or an established business, AZee is here to transform your brand dreams into reality. Ready to grow with us? Partner with AZee today and experience the difference. Visit our website at www.azee.co or give us a call at 1-844-360-AZEE. AZee Branding Solutions, where your success begins.
This is Jim from Success Group Mortgage in Owasso, Michigan, a proud Corona graduate and enthusiastic supporter of the 3 Point Pod. If you're interested in purchasing a home or possibly refinancing, give us a call, 989-720-4380. 989-720-4380.
Hi, this is Brian Calloway from the Lansing State Journal with a look at Greater Lansing as we get ready for the start of the high school football season. My 3 players to watch in Greater Lansing are Hazlitt Senior Asher Newman, DeWitt Junior Channing Ridley, and East Lansing senior Baylor Shansky. Newman is a defensive end and offensive lineman who is committed to play at Central Michigan. He finished with 52 tackles and 8 sacks last season for the Vikings. Ridley was a 1,000-yard rusher who helped DeWitt win the Division III state title last season. He has a Division I offer from Miami of Ohio. Shansky was a 1,000-yard rusher for East Lansing and added 50 tackles as a defensive back and owns an offer from UMass. My 3 teams to keep an eye on are DeWitt, Pewamo Westphalia, and Owasso. DeWitt and Pewamo Westphalia are viewed as state title contenders. DeWitt lost several key players from its state title squad but has plenty of talent back. That includes Ridley. PW reached the state semifinals last year before suffering a narrow loss in that game. My guess is that provides a fire for the Pirates this season as they try to finish as a state champion in Division VII. Owasso has a great story and qualified for the playoffs for the first time since 2012 last season. Now the Trojans have a shot to reach the playoffs in consecutive years for the first time in program history. They also have a shot at a 3rd straight winning season, which I believe hasn't been done in 50 years. As far as storylines in Greater Lansing, one of the big ones is Hall of Fame coach Dan Bogan coming out of retirement and taking over at his alma mater, Lansing Eastern. He takes over a program coming off of a 2-7 finish last year and a program that hasn't had a winning season since 1997. Bogan previously was at Lansing Sexton, where he retired as the school's winningest coach following the 2017 season. DeWitt and Portland St. Patrick trying to repeat as state champions is another storyline. They were the first programs from Greater Lansing to win state titles since Lansing Catholic and PW did in 2021. Mason and East Lansing looking to rebound from 500 and sub-500 seasons is another storyline. Both have multiple state semifinal appearances since 2020 and have been among the area's top teams, but had down seasons with new groups of starters stepping up. Mason went 5-5 and East Lansing finished 5-6, but both programs have plenty of talent back on their rosters this fall. That's it for me on Greater Lansing. You can follow me on X at Brian_Calloway. That is BRIAN_CALLOWAY. For 3 Point Podcast, this is Brian Calloway.
I'm Jason Hutton on the west side of the state. Happy to be on the 3 Point Podcast. It's an awesome late summer tradition to come on and talk about some of West Michigan's best teams, players, and storylines. So we're going to start with 3 players to watch in West Michigan this year, and the first 2 are University of Michigan commits. So we're going to go to Muskegon High School, Ricardo Kitchen. He is a defensive end. He'll also play tight end for the Big Reds, and this dude, I mean, he is a football player. Now, he's been on the varsity since he was a freshman, and when he was a freshman, he had good size, and he could move. But he was raw as a football player, and what you want to see out of players like that is for them to improve each and every year, and he has done that. Last year as a junior, he would take over games at times. He's just so fast and physical and instinctive. And talking with Muskegon head coach Shane Fairfield a few weeks ago, he says this year we're really going to unleash Ricardo to just kind of do what he does best. He's going to make Muskegon one of the best teams in the state again in Division II, and certainly on the west side of the state. Ricardo Kitchen, an edge rusher going to the University of Michigan, definitely a player to watch in 2026. Another University of Michigan commit, Cavenaugh Hills, running back, linebacker, defensive back, kind of put him where you want. London Hampton. This guy in his 3rd year on varsity at Cavenaugh Hills. He was a freshman on the Lumen Christi team that won the 2nd of their current 4 straight state titles in 2023. So he's a 4-year varsity player as well. It's his 3rd year at Cavenaugh Hills. I mean, he can do it all because they're going to hand the football to London Hampton. They're going to throw it to him out of the backfield. And on defense, you can kind of put him anywhere, and he's going to make plays. I mean, his excellent size, his speed, athleticism. This guy has everything you want in a football player. He's considered an athlete heading to the University of Michigan. That's because he can play so many different plays. You can play him a running back. You can play him at slot receiver. You can play him at safety probably. We'll see where he ends up when he gets to Ann Arbor. Before that, we get to enjoy him at Cavenaugh Hills and the Knights. Down in Division 4 this year. They were in Division 3 last year. A lot of people, including myself, think Cavenaugh Hills is a team that has a chance to make a run towards Ford Field, and London Hampton is a huge reason why. 3rd player to watch, Owen Ostapo, quarterback, Forest Hills Northern. 3rd year starting on varsity at quarterback. His dad, Eddie Ostapo, the head coach at Forest Hills Northern. All Owen did to finish out his junior campaign in week 9 last year was run for 430 yards and 5 touchdowns and a win over a pretty solid Northview team. So how will he carry that momentum over into 2026? It's going to be different for the Huskies because they graduated a really good, experienced offensive line, all of them. So all new guys up front. But I'm telling you what, when the football is in the hands of Owen Ostapo, he can make plays. And it's going to be more than just his ability to run, because everyone knows he's going to run, and they're all going to focus on that. Owen's going to be able to make plays throwing the football downfield this year. True dual threat quarterback Owen Ostapo headed to Ferris State to play for Tony Annese. All right, 3 teams to watch in West Michigan in 2026. I'm going to start with East Kentwood. The Falcons in Division I were a state semifinalist last year, losing to eventual state champion Detroit Catholic Central. Now, they have to replace Cade Kaufman. Cade Kaufman was amazing at quarterback. He's at Michigan State now. They got a kid named Colin O'Connor, transferred from California. He's a senior. Feels like he's just going to slide right in there because they're pretty good everywhere else. They do have to replace the running back position, but they have a kid named Dallas Moody who had been playing defensive back last year. But I'll tell you what, Dallas Moody at running back, I feel like is going to be a real threat for East Kentwood. Then they have Steph Jones on the outside at wide receiver, committed to Grand Valley State. Donovan Jones, Alex Nelson, Kenneth Harris, Major Barnes. That's 4 players in the secondary. 2 seniors, 1 committed to Brown and Barnes, 1 committed to Grand Valley and Donovan Jones. And then we talk about Harris and Nelson, both have Power 4 offers. That's 4 players, 1 secondary. Unbelievable unit. I look for East Kentwood to be the best team in West Michigan this year. But right on their heels is Hudsonville. They had 2 classic battles last year. Hudsonville winning a close one in the regular season to win the OK Red. The Eagles won 14 straight OK Red games, back-to-back outright conference champions, and then they played again in the playoffs when East Kentwood won it. But would you look at Hudsonville, they have to replace the quarterback, right? Brady Van Lake was so good. He is off now to Ferris State, but they've got a kid named Trey Snip. Junior was the junior varsity quarterback last year. He's a playmaker as well. I love their wide receivers with Levi Vanderveen and company on the outside, and defensively is where they're going to be really good. Luke Brodnicki on the defensive line, committed to Grand Valley State. This is absolute steal for one of the best D2 programs in the country because Luke Brodnicki's almost unblockable. He's big, he's physical, he has a nose for the football. On the outside, they have Ty Strick at corner, and Strick is committed to Grand Valley as well, an outstanding player in the corner. And then you look at a guy like Parks Vugteveen, who just committed to Northwood. Didn't play a ton last year as a sophomore because Hudsonville's so deep in every class. The point here is Hudsonville is talented across the board. I got them as the number 2 team to watch in West Michigan. For me, number 3 is Mona Shores. I love what Matt Koziak is bringing back and then what they've added. You've got Owen Terpstra to play quarterback, and last year he kind of split time a little bit with the senior Joel Thole, but when Terpstra's in there, they're just a different offense, and I really like what Mona Shores can do. Plus, they bring in the 3 Himes brothers from Leadington. I just love these 3 Himes brothers, adding them into the mix for Mona Shores. And you talk about Keyshawn Collins, their corner. He just committed to Grand Valley State. You know, every year it's a battle in that conference, the OK Green, between Muskegon and Mona Shores. They played twice last year. Muskegon won them both. I'm going to guess they're going to play twice again this year. When you look at D2 in West Michigan, it's absolutely loaded when you throw in Byron Center. And then what can Caledonia do bouncing back down from Division I? So Mona Shores, to me, is the 3rd team to watch. All right, 3 storylines heading into 2026. We're going to start with the Northview Wildcats. This will be my game of the week on Thursday night. Northview hosting West Catholic on 9-6 won the game. I'll be on the call with Buck Gino. Their longtime head coach, Ryan Oshnock, left just a month or so ago to become athletic director at East Grand Rapids. So they're kind of left in the lurch a little bit here with that whole situation. Northview has a pretty solid squad coming back, especially led by Braylon Jefferson, a quarterback. The Saginaw Valley commit is a true playmaker. And Northview has big expectations for this year. You know, they missed the playoffs last year at 5-4, but they did beat West Catholic in week 1. West Catholic's only loss as they roll off 13 straight wins to win the Division 5 state championship. So Bob Nowak is going to step in and be the head coach at Northview. It's not an interim thing. Like, he is taking over. He's the head coach, and they're planning on that for the foreseeable future. He has been the defensive coordinator at Northview under Ryan Oshnock. So how will the Wildcats respond to what can only be called a turbulent offseason? Obviously not ideal to lose your head coach in July, but I'll be following that closely. And I'm going to stay right there in that matchup, Northview West Catholic on 9-6 won the game on Thursday night. West Catholic at quarterback, right? They win the state championship last year. Brady Augustin was really good. He's off to Michigan Tech. And they kind of got a 3-way battle here, right? Brody Snow's a sophomore. Will Smith is a sophomore, and they've got Crew Visconti as a senior. And talking with head coach Landon Grove, he really believes there's a possibility they'll play all three at least in week one until they kind of figure this out. And I was at their scrimmage last Thursday. All three looked apart. Like, I feel like even though they don't have a for sure starter, that they have really good options. So the West Catholic quarterback position will be a storyline I'm following this year. And the third storyline for me is the OK Gold race. Since the OK Conference restructured a couple of years ago, the OK Gold has been really good in football when you talk about Zeeland West, Zeeland East, Unity Christian, South Christian, and Forest Hill Central. Right, Forest Hill Central won a state championship in 2023. Unity Christian was in the state championship game last year. South Christian was in the state championship game in 2023, and Zeeland West won a state championship in 2024. So you're talking about some great programs there. Who's going to win that? There's a lot of people over in the side of the state that love Zeeland West. The Ducks return a ton. Year 2 now with Jeff Bullhouse replacing the legendary John Shillito. But I'll tell you, I like South Christian. South Christian's got a ton back as well. They've got 60 players on their varsity roster, which is the largest they've ever had on a varsity football team at South Christian. They've kind of got 2 quarterbacks going there with Brody Schultz and Austin Burgess. So they got to kind of iron that out. Are they going to be able to go with that? Will they have to name a guy? But I just love the talent across the board for South Christian. You look at Unity Christian, they're replacing a ton from that state runner-up team a year ago, right? Graduating 18 starters. So, but that they've done that before. They kind of did that going into last year. And then look what they did. Justin Phoebus and company get all the way to Ford Field. Unity Christian's always going to be really good. And you look at Zeeland East. Zeeland East is a team now with a senior class that's played a lot of varsity football. A bunch of these kids were up as sophomores. They've been really bit the last couple of years by the injury bug, but they got a 3-year varsity starting quarterback in Will Drenick who's really good. So, and at Forest Hill Central, you never know what will happen there. Year 2 now for Dave Fortino as well. They've got a young group through the Rangers. So to me, the OK Gold race is going to be fascinating to follow in 26. I'm Jason Hutton. Find me on all the social media channels, JHut5 on Twitter, JHut555 on Instagram, Jason Hutton Local Legends on Facebook. I have the Local Legends podcast. We're going to be live every Friday night at 11:30 p.m. First 2 weeks will be Thursday night. And then I'm doing the play-by-play for the 961 game of the week every Friday night as well. We start with West Catholic and Northview this Thursday night.
Hey everyone, this is Austin Szumowicz with WNEM TV5 Sports. Once again, glad to be back with my boys with the 3 Point Podcast for another preseason preview for high school football in mid-Michigan. I'm excited. I've been waiting all year to get some more football action in mid-Michigan. We got some fun teams to look out for this season. And here's a look at some of the ones that I have my eyes on going into the 2026 season. We start off with last year's Division III runners-up, the Mount Pleasant Oilers. The guys are returning about half of last year's team. They did lose some key seniors, guys like Riley Olson, guys like Will Garcia and Kurt Frowling, but big thing, always great, returning your first team All-SVL quarterback is a huge thing with Xavier Krager making his return once again. Going into his senior year, of course, he showed how not only he could throw the ball, but really used his legs as a huge weapon in his arsenal. So it'll be a big, dangerous thing that he can continue to grow and try to have a great senior season. And talking with Coach McIntyre, he's made sure the kids know that, hey, the last time we made it to the state finals, the year after that was my only losing season. So just because we did all that last season doesn't mean squat going into this year. So I think the guys have their heads on their shoulders going game by game, week by week, and they're going to be looking to build to try to take the SVL North once again and try to go back to Ford Field and end the night with hopefully a state championship. Next up in Division 5, it feels like we always talk about these guys. They're always a consistent player when it comes to deep runs in mid-Michigan high school football, especially in the playoffs. It's the Frankenmuth Eagles. They had a 5-year stretch where they at least made it to the state semifinals. That, however, ended with them taking a loss to Pontiac Notre Dame Prep in the regional finals. So still a dominant performance, taking the TVC Red once again. Of course, they're going to be looking to do that again. They've got about 16 guys that have starting experience that are coming back for this season. And talking with Coach Martin, it's just the standard is the standard. This program has consistently produced some really great players, some really great teams. Looking to try to get over that hump and try to bring a state championship to Frankenmuth, I think, is something that is definitely within reach for Frankenmuth. And they'll get to open their season at the Big House when they take on the Goodrich Martians in Week 1. Finally, we have the reigning and defending Division 8 state champions, the Harbor Beach Pirates. So coming off of that perfect 14-0 season, it was a strong, memorable run to the state finals for the Pirates. But Harbor Beach now coming back with a younger team. They graduated 14 seniors from last year's state title win, and now this team, 6 seniors, 8 juniors. So a decent meld of upperclassmen, but not nearly to the level of what they had when they won it all with that perfect season. Head coach Troy Shelke knows that it's going to take a little bit more time for the guys to get up to speed, but I think as the season progresses, you're going to see Harbor Beach showcase that ability that they showed last year. Not sure if they're going to go a perfect 14-0 this time, but I still think it is very much within reach for them to make a run towards defending that title. So Harbor Beach is my last team of the three that I have that I've got my eyes on going on into this season. Moving over from teams to players, these are three guys that I think are lining up to have some big seasons this year. We start off at Midland Dow, his senior quarterback, Win Deagle, and yes, his name is sick. Last year in his junior season, Deagle performed exceptionally well, helping the Chargers get to a 10-2 record, throwing for over 3,000 yards and 33 touchdowns, setting the school record in completions, yards, touchdowns, and passing attempts. He's already got a couple offers right now, and it's coming off of a season where Dow's only losses came against teams that played in state title games, with them losing to Mount Pleasant and St. Mary's. So it's looking like Deagle showed exactly what he can do last year, and now going into his final year with the Chargers, I think Deagle is setting up for an exceptional senior season under center, and it looks like Deagle is going to show exactly how much firepower he's got this year. Next up, I feel like it's a tradition at this point. My segment's at least going to have one mention of Davison, and that continues right now as I talk about senior running back Ty Anthony Lewis for the Cardinals. It's going to be a big senior year. He has got the backfield all to himself. And for a team that's starting a sophomore at quarterback and a transfer no less, I think Ty Anthony Lewis is going to get a lot of touches. Now, we know Davison loves to pass the ball, loves to use a lot of trickery as well with their offense. But I think with the offensive line that they've got out there on the field, Ty Anthony Lewis not only shows the ability of being able to be a runner, but also a pass catcher. So I think Ty Anthony Lewis is a guy that could have a very strong season, as the Cardinals are looking to try to avenge some early playoff exits and try to make a really deep run this season. Finally, we have Drew Agason, senior defensive lineman out of Goodrich, a guy that has been performing for 3 years right now and has been a crucial part for Goodrich, including when they won the state championship back in 2024. He's 6'5", 280 pounds. He had 40 tackles, 9 sacks last year, and has been really strong, not just with his ability at the rush, but he's got some speed coming off the edge as well. Goodrich, of course, has got all of their mindset going on basically championship or bust, as the team made it back to the state semifinals last year, but were unable to get back to Fort Field to defend their state title that they won in 2024. Drew Agson's going to be a crucial senior leading the way, especially on defense. He is a monster. He is a disruptor. He is a guy that is going to be a problem for offenses, especially in the Flint Metro League. Watch out for Drew. He's got a lot going for him this season. Finally, I got a couple of storylines that have me interested going into the 2026 season. The first involves the Saginaw Valley League, specifically with two of their top players in the South, Davison and Grand Blanc. This is going to be their last season competing in the SVL South, as they announced earlier this year that Grand Blanc and Davison will be joining the Oakland Activities Association next year. Grand Blanc, of course, won the SVL South last year, so they'll be defending their title and looking to come out on top of it once again before leaving the conference. And Davison is looking to try to take out their rivals and take the SVL one last time before jumping over to play in Oakland. It's going to be a different shift definitely next year, with a lot of local rivalries going away. Grand Blanc and Davison will still be a massive rivalry that we will thankfully keep, but it'll be our last time seeing Davison and Grand Blanc go against Saginaw teams, go against Lapeer teams. So it's going to be a very interesting final ride in the SVL for Grand Blanc and Davison. So it'll be fun to see how things shake out as they prepare for completely new competition next year. Well, staying in the SVL, but moving north, we have a new head honcho at Bay City Central. The Wolves finished last year with a 1-8 record, and now a new era is beginning, as back in January, the Wolves hired Mark Jarsfer as their new head coach. Jarsfer previously coached at Gladwin, led the Flying G's to their first ever state championship in 2022, and from watching the guys at practice, there's a newfound energy. It seems like there's already an early buy-in what Jarsfer's looking to bring to Bay City Central, a program that just celebrated 100 years of Engel Stadium, a program with a lot of history, but has struggled as of lately. So seeing what happened with Gladwin back in 2022 was an exciting run as they knocked off Frankenmuth in the state championship game off a game-winning field goal. Jarsford now coming over. It should be very interesting. They got about 15 seniors on that team, so it'll be fun to see how Jarsford is able to lead Bay City Central and try to go into his first year in the SVL, some different competition, and I think it's going to be fun to watch. I think keep an eye out to see what Coach Jarsford and the Bay City Central Wolves do. Finally, my last storyline is just going to be the new playoff seeding from the MHSAA. They approved it back in May. The committee now has a new playoff field in which 8 11-player divisions will be first organized into 18 regionals, and then the 8 teams in each region will be seeded based on playoff point average, seeds 1, 4, 5, and 8, comprising one district, and seeds 2, 3, and 6, and 7, comprising the other, and then the winners of those districts will then play in the regional final. So just a shift in the playoff seeding going into this year, so it'll be interesting to see how that changes things for the landscape of the playoffs once we get out of week 9. So outside of that, I'm just ready to go for high school football, guys. Once again, thanks to the 3 Point Podcast for having me back on. Be sure to keep up with all the Mid-Michigan high school football action on Friday Night Lights every week on WNEM TV5 News at 11 with myself, Cole Martins, and Mark Pearson.
19. That's the number of NFL players that played last year's season from the city of Detroit. That's more than Houston. That's more than Miami. That's more than any city in the entire country. That's why here on 3 Point Podcast, we thought if any region deserved double the coverage, it was the Metro Detroit region. So take a listen and enjoy it.
Hey there, everyone. This is Evan Stockton, voice of the MHSAA football finals for the NFHS Network. Excited to give you a very quick preview of what to expect from high school football, specifically in the Metro Detroit area, coming up in this 2026 season. Coming up very, very quickly. Always sneaks up on us. Excited to follow all of these teams and players throughout the season. So, 3 players to watch in the Metro Detroit area, and they're kind of obvious names if you know the Michigan high school football landscape. Number 1's easy, it's Dakota Garan. He's probably the best overall player in the state of Michigan. He's one of the best high school football recruits in America. He's the top wide receiver recruit in America. He just committed to go play his college football for the Oregon Ducks on national TV on the Pat McAfee Show. This guy is a remarkable talent. He does not look like a 17, 18-year-old. He's been a stud since his freshman year, and we're all excited to see what he can do in his final act at Harper Woods this season. Dakota Garant, number 1. Gideon Gash is number 2. You know what was interesting last year? For a Detroit Catholic Central team that ended up winning the state championship, a lot of people focused on Gideon's brother, Samson, and with good reason. He set the state 100-meter dash record the year before, but Gideon Gash was amazing in the state championship game against Cass Tech. He scored 3 touchdowns. He's actually better on defense. His head coach, Justin Sassante, compares him to Sauce Gardner, thinks Gideon's got a shot to play in the NFL someday. Gideon's going to go play his college football down at Texas Tech for the Red Raiders, but again, before he gets there, he's got one final act as Catholic Central tries to go back-to-back in Division I. Final player to watch. He's from the team that CC beat in the state championship game last year. It's Donald Tabron, the quarterback for the mighty Technicians of Cass Tech. We all know as high school football fans in Michigan, we have been utterly spoiled with great quarterbacks over the last half-decade. Bryce Underwood, now with the Michigan Wolverines, was the top overall recruit in the country with the Belleville Tigers. Dante Moore, when he was at Detroit King, was winning state championships, it felt like every single year. Dante may end up being the number 1 overall pick in the draft by the time it's done next year. He's got one more season to go with the Oregon Ducks. And heck, we forget about Isaiah Marshall, who was at Southfield A&T, who beat Bryce Underwood in the state championship game. And now Isaiah is competing for the starting quarterback job at the Kansas Jayhawks this year. Donald Tabron's next in line. He has a relationship with those guys. He is very, very proud of all the hard work he's put in. And he's stepping into a true leadership role this year with Cass Tech. CJ Sadler's no longer there. Kori's off to the college game plan for the Carolina Tar Heels. Very excited to see Donald Tabron's growth, not just on the field, but off the field this year. So those 3 guys to watch, Garant, Gash, and Tabron. For teams to watch, It feels weird to say they're flying under the radar because Detroit King is one of the best high school football programs, forget in Michigan, but across the Midwest. But just listening to their coaching staff talk in the lead up to this year, they felt like they left a lot of meat on the bone, left a lot on the table last year, and they've really committed themselves to getting back to that Detroit King standard that has terrorized the state, terrorized the city of Detroit for many, many years. And they're committed to get back to Ford Field this year. That's number one team I want to watch out for. Number two, again, kind of cheating based on one of the players we've already said we need to watch this year, Harper Woods, my second team. That's another team that felt like they left a lot of meat on the bone the last couple of years. They lost to a team that we're about to talk about in a second in the playoffs last year. Harper Woods, forget just Dakota Garant. They've got a ton of talent. If you haven't heard the name DeAndre Bidden, learn that name. He is a remarkably fast and talented football player. The only question for Harper Woods, there's two of them. One, how is going up to Division III from Division IV going to affect them this year? And also, who the heck's going to play quarterback? They may actually have to have Dakota Garant play some quarterback for them this year. That's my second team I want to look out for in the Metro Detroit area this year. Final team to look out for is the team that beat them in the playoffs and then went on to win the state championship in Division IV last year, Divine Child. Amazing story last year. That's a very proud program. Aiden Hutchinson, Gary Danielson are alums of Divine Child, but it had been over 4 decades since they won the state championship. Got it done last year. A lot of the Vitis and the Italian Mafia are gone, but Drew Sheridan is back. Really talented lefty quarterback. His recruiting stock is rising. He's going to go play very high-level college football someday, very soon. Drew Sheridan steps into that leadership role truly for Divine Child. Curious to see what their title defense is like this year. And quickly, 3 storylines to follow. 1, it's simple. Does Catholic Central repeat in Division I? First state championship in 16 years for them last year, being around the program in the lead up to the season. They've moved on from last year. They're focused on this year. They'll be favorites among them to repeat in Division I. Number 2, CC's big rival. Is this Brother Rice's year to come back? Is this their return to glory season? Lord knows they've got a load of talent. Jaden Bell is a freak on that defensive line for Brother Rice. Coach Marshall and his staff very confident they can do some big things this year. And then final storyline to follow, who makes a quote-unquote surprise run? I'll give you a couple of teams, and again, this is kind of cheating because they've got amazing players and they're really good programs. Number 1, Houle, Bryce Kish. He is a big you-know-what. He is going to go play his college ball at Clemson. He's a heck of a player. Houle runs that old school tight tee you recognize from Catholic Central and Orchard Lake St. Mary's back in the day. Houle could make a run. And again, this is cheating. This is a program that has won a lot of state titles. They got Dan Roan, one of the best coaches in the state. Thurston at quarterback is one of the best signal callers in the state. But last year, De La Salle frankly snuck into the playoffs and then leaning on their tradition and culture and coaching and talent, got to the semifinals. I think there could be some big things ahead for De La Salle this year. Excited to follow MHSAA football all year long. Excited to call the finals once again at Ford Field on Thanksgiving weekend. One of the favorite things I do in my broadcasting calendar every single year. You can follow me on all the social media channels at EV Stockton for 3 Point Podcast. This is Evan Stockton.
Hello, my name is Jared Ramsey. I cover high school sports with the Detroit Free Press. Thank you to the 3 Point Podcast for offering me this opportunity to give a little bit of thoughts heading into high school football season. 3 players, I'm gonna do underclassmen. I feel like a lot's been said about the Dakota Grants, Gideon Gashes, Donald Tabrons of the world. So I'm gonna go 3 younger kids who I think are gonna have big seasons this year. I'm going to start with Amir Forrest at Detroit King. He's a sophomore quarterback. He is the next guy at King. He played sparingly behind Andrew Knight last year in mop-up duty, and King has a very deep and talented receiver core led by Don Spillers and Daryl Flemister, 2 Big Ten recruits. And Forrest, from what I've seen, he's not the biggest kid in the world playing quarterback, but he has a great arm, knows the King offense. I think he's primed for a big year. Another one, I'll go with Christian Marshall at Brother Rice. He's a sophomore wide receiver and defensive back. He is the younger brother of former Southfield quarterback Isaiah Marshall and the son of brother Rice coach Aaron Marshall. And he was an impact player as a freshman, good, fluid target, pretty big at his age. And I think with brother Rice's offense just taking a step forward in general with most of their players back, I think he is a guy that can really be on a lot more radars this year. And then third, I'm going with Pierre Johnson at Cass Tech. He started in the state championship game as a freshman at cornerback, and he is another just fluid athlete, can play both sides of the ball, great ball skills. There's going to be a lot of new names in the wide receiver room / defensive back room. I think Pierre is going to be one of the main ones. And he's also a twin, so keep out an eye for his defensive end brother, Jameer Johnson. He will also be a key part of the technician season. And then jumping in 3 teams, I have my eye on Grosse Pointe South in Division II. They're moving up to the top of the MAC. They have Sam Rouleau, who's going to Central Michigan at quarterback. He is just an outstanding athlete, dual threat kid all the way. They have a lot of talent back at the skill positions. The lines are the main question, but I think they can contend with Romeo and Macomb Dakota and all the big D1 schools in the MAC Red and be one of the top teams in D2. Another team I have my eye on is, we'll go over to Livingston County, Brighton. Brighton has a lot of really good talent on their team. Dominic Noss at running back, a junior. It's going to be a guy that, if he stays healthy, is going to have a monster season. They have Jack Carlson, who's going to Michigan State at left tackle. Dom DeGosta is going in his second year starting at quarterback. He's a lot bigger, stronger, faster. Jaden Bird and Jaden Sippinaire are 2 really good skill position guys. Jaden Bird's going to Army West Point to play football. And then third team will stick in the city of Detroit, Detroit Edison Charter School. They have most of their guys back from last year. They reached the regional finals in Division 6, won the Charter School Conference last year. They have pretty much all their guys back. Their leader is Miles Matlock at QB. So I think they're primed for a big year. And then I'll keep my storyline short. I think the KLAA in its final year is interesting. Just who will win that? Houle, Belleville, Brighton, kind of the main 3 contenders. Another storyline, just kind of will Cass Tech and Catholic Central see each other again? They are the cream of the crop right now, and they seem like they're on a collision course. And then I'll stick in the Catholic League real quick. Can Orchard Lake St. Mary's beat Catholic Central and win conference? They're 2-time defending state champions, but they haven't won their conference in the 2020s because De La Salle, Catholic Central, what have you. But this is the most talented Eaglets team that they've had, so if there's a year to do it, I wouldn't be shocked if it was this one. Thank you again to the 3 Point Podcast for allowing me to share some thoughts heading into the high school football season, which starts on Thursday. Again, my name is Jared Ramsey. I cover high school sports in Detroit for the Detroit Free Press. You can find all my work in newspaper stands across the state or at freep.com. Thank you.
The Shiawassee County Fair is much more than a week of fun in early August. Follow the Shiawassee County Fair on their Facebook page. 127 beautiful rolling acres on Hibbard Road in Corunna. The fairgrounds is a state licensed campground with all the amenities to make your stay a pleasant and memorable one. Find more details online at ShiawasseeFair.com. The Shiawassee County Fair, friends, family, and fun since 1850.
Nelson House Funeral Home's top goal is to serve the families in our community. The Nelson House staff are proud to serve you with compassion and integrity. Unique service representing unique lives, ensuring that your loved ones receive the honor and celebration they deserve. Consider pre-planning your final wishes. Take it from me. When my parents passed, all the details were taken care of, which lifted a big burden from us. Contact the funeral experts at Nelson House by calling 989-723-5234. Go online at nelson-house.com or stop in at 120 East Mason Street in Owasso, serving our area since 1880.
What's up, guys? This is Tyler Graham coming from Prep Red Zone and Michigan Prep Frenzy. Coming at you with 3 teams, 3 players, and 3 storylines you guys need to watch out for this fall. First up is one of the teams, Saline. The Carr era is over between Tommy and CJ. They have both left the vacancy at the QB position. which will be followed by 2029 Case Campbell, transferring over from Orchard Lake St. Mary's, who already holds multiple Division I offers, including Michigan. Offensive lineman Louis Esposito will hold it down on the line, and the defense is special, specifically the secondary that has multiple D1 talents all across the secondary. Next up will be East Kentwood. Head coach Ty Spencer has done a really good job of building them into a steady program. Quarterback Cade Kaufman has left the quarterback position as he goes to Michigan State. 2028 transfer Colin O'Connor, who's transferred in, has already put on quite a few really impressive performances in 7-on-7 season, and defense and offense both have elite speed. This team might finally be ready to take that step up and win the OK Red. Next up will be one that's kind of under the radar in D5, Godwin Heights. They've got really, solid momentum going on in the program, have had a couple really good seasons. Quarterback play, lefty Martellus Forrest, only a junior this fall, has already put up a ton of impressive performances all spring long. And then Isaiah Walker, receiver, was one of the most productive receivers in 7-on-7 circuits this season. So this team is going to score a ton of points this season and could really be a tough out. As for players, Jake DeWitt from Grand Blanc, 2028 quarterback, stepping in for Jake Morrow, who was one of the top quarterbacks in the state last season, who's now taken off to Western Carolina, has been, kind of a natural leader this offseason, really just kind of took over the program and has led them incredibly well. On top of that, insanely athletic, has incredible arm talent, absolute gamer, one of the most athletic quarterbacks that I've ever seen. With a plethora of weapons around him, his production is going to be pretty absurd this season. As for receivers, Luke Rosenbrook, a receiver out of Forest Hills Eastern, one of the most underrated prospects in West Michigan, which is saying something. Twitchy, elite hands, just great consistency, way overlooked, but there's no doubt that he will probably pop this season, have a great senior season, and I would imagine some offers will come. Finally, a 2029 edge out of Freeland, Ike Sulfridge, super young, but already stands at 6'3", 235, already has powerful, strong legs, great fire off the ball, super hard hitter, already one of the most elite pass rushers that we've seen in the state, and he's just going to be a sophomore. As for storylines, watch out for the entire Catholic League. Especially in the Central, Detroit Catholic Central defending D1 state champs, Orchard Lake St. Mary's defending D2 state champs, both have elite rosters. Brother Rice not far behind both of them as far as talent goes, pound for pound. De La Salle showed flashes last year, but were super young, will be improved. Quarterback Grayson Thurston, 2028, already has multiple Big Ten offers, and has been super impressive this spring. And don't forget about those Toledo schools as well. Toledo Central Catholic had an influx of young talent come in this year. Should be really, really competitive again. Should be fun to see who comes out on top in that one. Another storyline to watch is D5 as a whole. Seems like every year we probably say this, but once again, just elite. Grand Rapids Catholic Central and Grand Rapids West Catholic, going to be the cream of the crop, but obviously Frankenmuth always in there. Godwin Heights, as I mentioned earlier, in the mix. Plus the regular suspects, Notre Dame Prep, Armada, and more. These teams could be in for an absolute gauntlet once they hit the postseason. Finally, Portage Central, who dominated all season in D2 last year, returns a ton of production, but now makes the leap into D1. Will this move, impact them at all, or are they just going to keep rolling as they have been? My guess is that they probably keep rolling, but I think that D1 over on the west side is going to be an absolute battle. As always, you can find me over on Twitter at MICHFBFrenzy. I will be super active over there all season long, so come on and join the conversation.
Hey everyone, this is Aaron from the Flint Prep Fan social media page. Thank you to the 3 Point Podcast for having me on to talk about Flint area football. I have 3 players, 3 teams, and 3 storylines I am excited to share with you. First, the 3 players to watch out for in the Flint area. The first is Drew Agason from the Goodrich Martians. Drew has signed to play college football at Iowa State University in the Big 12 in 2027. Drew is an outstanding athlete with great size, and has shown that the last couple of seasons while playing at tight end and defensive end. But this season, he's moving to offensive tackle to help bolster what has been a dominant O-line for Goodrich these last few years. Look for Drew to have a massive impact on both sides of the ball as he and the Martians look to make another run to Ford Field. Next is Grand Blank's running back Jeremiah Coleman. A fourth-year varsity player, Jeremiah is looking to improve upon his breakout junior season, where he had over 800 yards rushing and 19 touchdowns. The speedy back has 3 college offers, which include Kent State, Eastern Michigan, and Saginaw Valley. Coleman is the senior part of a tough 1-2 punch at running back that Grand Blanc will hope leads them to a third straight SVL South title. The third player I would like to highlight is the Davison Cardinals running back Ty Anthony Lewis. Ty Anthony as a junior had almost 700 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns. With dual threat QB Jackson Dosh graduated, I believe Lewis will have a breakout season as he will have to carry the load for what will be a young Davison squad. Ty Anthony will also look to play on Saturdays next year as he holds offers from Wayne State, Kent State, and Miami of Ohio. Next is 3 teams to watch out for in the Flint area. Goodrich has had a stranglehold on the Flint Metro League Stars division, but there could be a new threat to the division, and that is the Owasso Trojans. 2025 was the first time since 2012 the Trojans have qualified for the playoffs. Their gift, unfortunately, was a matchup with a eventual state champion DeWitt in the first round. Also, Owasso was very young last year. They only had 4 seniors on the team, the rest being all juniors. This season, they're now seniors and will drop down to Division 4. Owasso will be led by QB Braden Reed, wide receiver defensive back Evan Hunter, and running back linebacker Talon Newell. Coach Ron Tyner has really turned this program around and has such a positive attitude towards his players and is earnest in wanting to see them succeed both on and off the field. Watch out for the Owasso Trojans this year. The next team to watch out for probably has the best chance for a Flint area team to win a state title. It is the New Lothrop Hornets. The Hornets are familiar with deep playoff runs, and this is the year I think they can make it back to Ford Field. The offense will be electric, led by junior QB Carson Agnew, junior wide receiver Aaron Wenslick, sophomore wide receiver Marcellus Childress, as well as transfer Braylon Johnson. Defensively, New Lothrop will be led by Jude Galvis. I think New Lothrop can score with anybody. The regular season record may not show how good they are come playoff time due to the gauntlet of the MMAC. Keep your eye on New Lothrop this season. The last team I want to talk about is the Flint Elite Warriors. This is a newer team and is a co-op between Flint New Standard and Madison Academy. Last year, they were co-Genesee Area Conference champion and made their first ever playoff appearance. Coach Paul Carmona told me that they will have over 20 players with 3+ years of varsity experience. They have a tough non-conference schedule this year as they play Monroe Jefferson, Forest Hills Eastern, and Pontiac Notre Dame Prep. I see the Warriors repeating as GAC champs and looking to win their first playoff game ever. Next, the 3 storylines for the 2026 season. The first is which Flint area junior QB will have the best season. Last year, Flint area graduated some very good QBs, and there is a new wave ready to take over. Some of these QBs include Eli Moore from Montrose, Carson Agnew from New Lothrop, Max Widener from Linden, Marshall Jenkins from Carmen Ainsworth, Jake DeWitt from Grand Blanc, and Rye Shield from Fenton. Watch out for all these junior QBs to put up big numbers this season. The next storyline is that this is Davison and Grand Blanc's final season in the Saginaw Valley League. In the fall of 2027, the Bobcats and the Cardinals are moving to the OAA. The move is needed for these schools as they're the only 2 Division I schools in the SVL, and they lose out on valuable playoff points. Davison and Grand Blanc have combined to win the SVL South title every year since 2019. Will anyone challenge, or will it be a 7th year in a row for one of these 2 teams? The last storyline is what I will call MMAC madness. In the last 5 years, Chesaning, Durand, Montrose, New Lothrop, and Ovid Elsie all have won at least a share of the MMAC title. This year, it's once again wide open and anyone can win it. It's going to be a fun conference to watch, as there could be an upset every week. This is Aaron from Flint Prep Fan, and you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and X. My handle is @FlintPrepFan.
Hello, this is Matthew Scheidel, the sports editor for the Argus Press. We cover all the teams in Shiawassee County, plus Ovid, LC, and Chesaning. My 3 players to watch are Carson Agnew, a junior quarterback from New Lothrop. Agnew will be entering his 3rd year as the starting signal caller for the Hornets, and he's only gotten better each year. Last year, he led our coverage area in passing yards and passing touchdowns, and was a threat with his legs, with almost 700 rushing yards with 10 touchdowns. Agnew has a chance to be an all-state type of player this year. Number 2 is Braden Reed, senior quarterback from Owasso. Reed goes back to his natural position of quarterback after leading our coverage area in receiving touchdowns last season with 10. He's another guy who should be a real dual threat. Number 3 is Brody Howard, senior quarterback from Ovid, LC. Howard is just a really good athlete. He's coming over from wide receiver and takes over for Owen Long at quarterback. He moved from shortstop to catcher for Ovid LC's baseball team, which again showcases his versatility and his athleticism. He should be a huge weapon on offense for the Marauders. As for my 3 teams to keep an eye on, number 1 is going to be the New Lothrop Hornets. The Hornets have a chance to do something special this year. With all the talent they have coming back at the skill positions, this could be a team that makes a deep postseason run, especially in Division 8. Number 2 is the Owasso Trojans. The Trojans are coming off their first playoff berth since 2012. With 18 seniors on the roster, they have their sights set even higher in 2026. And number 3 will be the Durand Railroaders. The Railroaders have to replace 2 1,000-yard rushers from a year ago, but they like what they have coming back. They return all but 1 starter on the offensive line, so there will be a lot of continuity there. Don't be surprised if they replicate the success they had last year when they won their 5th playoff game in program history. As for my 3 storylines to look out for, the first one will be, can Owasso get back to the playoffs? As mentioned earlier, the Trojans made the playoffs for the first time in 14 years last season. The record has improved every year under Ron Tyner, so it will be very interesting to see if the program's progression continues this year. The second storyline to watch is going to be the Mid-Michigan Activities Conference race. The MMAC appears to be wide open. Every coach I talked to from that league seems to agree. There's no clear frontrunner. Obviously, Montrose is the reigning champion, but New Lothrop, Durand, Ovid LC, all those teams will be looking to bring the Rams down. It should be fun to watch and follow along with all season long. And my last storyline here is, how will the new playoff format look? If you missed it, this past May, the MHSAA announced that they will be switching to a regional playoff format, meaning seeds 1, 4, 5, and 8 are going to be in one district, and seeds 2, 3, 6, and 7 are in the other. And the winner of those districts will play each other in the regional final. Every coach I've talked to about this change has been all for it. Previously, we would have instances of 2 of the best teams in the state would play each other in a district final. And the idea with this change is that those teams can still at least win their district. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out in real time when the playoffs roll around. You can follow the Argus Press on Facebook by searching the Argus-Press, and it should be the first thing that comes up. You can follow us on Instagram at _Argus_Press. We've been posting video previews for every football team that we cover on all of our social media platforms, so be sure to check those out. For the 3 Point Podcast, I'm Matthew Scheidel.
Hi, this is Tyler Young of Fox Sports Marquette, 105.1 and 99.9, giving you a preview of high school football in the Upper Peninsula for this coming season. 3 players to watch this year. First of all, Evan Delangelo from Negaunee. He was an All-UP wide receiver, the only player in the UP to be on the All-State Division 5 and 6 list, and he had a return touchdown in each of his first 5 games. He did end up getting injured midway through the season, though, and that held him out. Could have been even better for him last year. Had he not been hurt, he's going to be a big part of what Negaunee wants to do this season. Miles Naring of North Central, he was a member of the Upper Peninsula Dream Team as a sophomore on the defensive line. 6'2", 225. He is going to be a massive part of the North Central team this year. They've had some success in seasons past. They've graduated some very good players, but he's coming back, and he is going to be a menace on the defensive side of the football. Third, Braden Casson from Iron Mountain. Dream Team All-UP defensive back, also an offensive threat, and frankly, just a good athlete, a standout basketball player as well. He is going to be one of the keys to a team in Iron Mountain that is, again, graduating quite a few. 3 teams to keep an eye on this season from the UP. First of all, Menominee. They are defending state champions 14-0. They took down Schoolcraft 34-6, and while they are graduating a ton of talent, Tanner Turkoff, Alex Parrott, Landon Danu, Clayton Miller, Nathan Comp, just to name a few, they're returning all UP players, Nathan Nelson at linebacker and defensive lineman Henry Dobbins. Menominee is poised to continue their success. They won't miss a step going into this season. Another team to keep an eye on from the UP is Norway. They made a good postseason run, got to the semifinals in 8-player football where they lost to Blanchard Montebello 32-28. They're graduating 3 all-UP players. However, they will be back because they have had a young group that's been coming up. They're going to be a team to watch, by the way. Also, undefeated until that semifinal loss. Third team to look out for, the Escanaba Eskimos. They were undefeated in the UP last season, and yes, they did graduate several good players, but they're bringing back Coach of the Year Bailey Lamb, and they are bringing back Brody Eisen as a linebacker, Zahn Anderson as an offensive tackle. Anderson, by the way, is already committed to play college football at Michigan Tech University. Escanaba looking to continue the success that they have had in the past few years, and hopefully this year can take the next step and start winning a couple more playoff games. 3 storylines in UP football to look out for. Of course, we got to go back to Menominee and the fact that they are graduating as many players as they are, and as many starters and as many Dream Team Upper Peninsula football players. They are going to have a new look. Not that it's going to be any worse, as we talked about before. Menominee has plenty returning. They had a fantastic junior class that will be seniors this year that will be able to carry them. But just the question is, what does Menominee look like after the undefeated season and the state championship last year? The Negaunee Miners, that's going to be one to keep an eye on. The story there is, what is the health status for the Miners? Last season, they had Evan Delangelo, who was a standout in the UP and even made All-State in Divisions 5 and 6. He had returning touchdowns in each of his first 5 games, however, was injured midseason. Also for Negaunee, Kyle Waterman, he hurt his knee in week 4 and missed the rest of the season. He is a fantastic athlete. He is coming back for his senior year and has already expressed the desire has been building in him to get back out on the field ever since he left it in week 4 last season. Last storyline to look out for in the UP this year, the Gwynn Model Towners. Now, they didn't have a season last year because the numbers were too low. They just didn't have enough players to complete an 11-man season. They are still 11-man. They do have a team this year, and it sounds like the numbers are up. But the question is, what effect does a year off have on that program? A program that, frankly, for a few years has been right on the edge. We'll find out. That's a look at football in the UP this year. Follow me at foxsportsmarquette.com for the 3 Point Podcast. I'm Tyler Young.
3 Point Podcast. How we doing? It's John Vicari with Sports Radio 100.9 The Mid. Ready for some high school football, and let's get into it. 3 players to watch. We'll start with number 1. Feels obvious. Dow quarterback Wynn Deagle, committed to play at Wayne State. This guy's a stud. He's playing in his 3rd year as the starter, and already took him to the regional round last year. What could he do in his senior year? It's going to be a lot of fun. Number 2 is Chase Beamlander. He's a player for Heritage. Hawks were injured a lot last year, and he has been a consistent in their offense and defense. He's been a contributor since he's been a sophomore. He's a wideout, and intrigued to see what he can do. And then LJ Gallagher, who was the Midland offense last year. He's a running back / receiver. He's going to Grand Valley State, even though he had a couple offers in the MAC. And he's a guy that is very exciting to watch, too, for the Chemics. 3 teams to keep an eye out on. We'll start again with Dow. A great run last year. Can they replicate and go further this year, and having to deal with the Mount Pleasant team early on in the season yet again, who, of course, went to Ford Field last year.
Heritage Hawks, kind of already talked about it, but they were injured a lot. They have a tough schedule as always, but it's a team that under Justin Thielen has always been great, and we'll see what they can do in this 2026, though they open with Mount Pleasant and Dow back-to-back weeks, which is definitely a tough way to start your season. They also got to play East Lansing later on in the year. And then Bridgeport. Bridgeport didn't win a game last year, and I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs or anything like that, but new coach Walter Mulligan, he turned around Pinconning. Let's see what he can do at Bridgeport. I'm going to be definitely intrigued to watch them maybe do one of their games this year here on the Mitts. For 3 storylines, yeah, Mount Pleasant, they're in our area adjacent. Our first game, we're going to do the big house game between Heritage and Mount Pleasant. And can they return to Ford Field and finish the job this year? That's storyline number 1. For Dow, again, keep reiterating it, but for the Chargers, can they get past the regional round? Can they make it to the state round, to the semifinals? We will see. They got a talented squad yet again. A lot of people in the Midland community excited to see what the Chargers can do in 2026. And then for Heritage, staying healthy and to see what they can do if healthy this year. And even though it's a challenging schedule that we mentioned, I'd say it's a little better than last year. They finished the year playing Saginaw United and having to deal with Davison and Lapeer. But we will see what they can do. The Heritage Hawks are the third storyline, and to see what improvement they can do from a season ago. It all starts week 1. That's what's so exciting about Michigan high school football, that there's, at least talking about the Great Lakes Bay region, matchups right away that just bring intrigue and are definitely worth it. We've got the Loon season, so it's tough. We won't be out there for the September 4th Friday night, but we will start with the game at the Big House, Mount Pleasant and Heritage, and then we'll go from there, seeing what the Loons playoff schedule is like. But looking forward to the season, and thanks for having me on.
Hello and happy fall. This is Geoff Kimmerly from the Michigan High School Athletic Association, and these are my 3 storylines for the beginning of the 2026 season. First up, we want to talk regional playoff seeding. For the first 27 years of the 256-team field and 11-player, we seeded the first 2 rounds based on districts. We drew groups of 4 and then seeded those teams to play each other, and then the winners of districts went on to play in a regional final. Starting this year, change in that format. We will instead circle groups of 8. We will seed them 1 through 8, and then we'll create 2 districts out of that group of 8. So seeds 1, 4, 5, and 8 will make up 1 district. Seeds 2, 3, 6, and 7 will comprise the other. The winners of those districts, again, will play each other in the regional final, but that'll be certainly a noticeable switch once we get to late October and early November. Storyline number 2, more leagues shaking up in football. Obviously, changes in leagues and the teams that make them up is nothing new in Michigan high school football. We certainly have a lot of changes this season, especially in the Metro Detroit area. The Catholic High School League has a few new schools. The Kensington Lakes Activities Association has lost a few schools, which has led to a change in how their divisions are set up. Schools that left the KLAA ended up in the Lakes Valley Conference, so that league has expanded. We also have some new schools in the Oakland Activities Association. In 8-player, we have the return of a league from about 15 years ago, the Bridge Alliance. That is back with a pair of divisions, the Straits and the Valley, featuring several of the 8-player teams on both sides of the Mackinac Bridge. And finally, for our third storyline, we always like to talk about numbers. I wanted to give you just an update on the numbers for football heading into this season. At the moment, as we head into week 1, we have 493 11-player football teams set to play this season. We have 103 8-player football teams, which means we have 596 total out of 756 schools that are members of the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Last season, we had more than 36,000 high school athletes playing football in our state, and we're confident that we will be able to approach that total, if not surpass it again. It's an exciting time, and we're excited to get it started. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at MHSAA Sports, and on X at MHSAA. For the Michigan High School Athletic Association and the 3 Point Podcast, this is Geoff Kimmerly. Have a great season, and we'll see you out there.
Pickpocket Sports and Outdoors is a sports equipment company built for every kind of player. From kids grinding out reps before tryouts to families competing in the backyard. Pickpocket Sports and Outdoors is one brand covering serious training tools and backyard fun games. All ages, all skill levels under one umbrella. The flagship product is the Triple Play, a patented baseball pitching pickoff training mat made of top quality durable rubber. This training tool teaches pitchers the correct footwork for picking off a runner at any base. The pitcher stays in place and simply rotates their body to the base they're going to, developing that all-important muscle memory. Other new products are in development and will be dropping later this year. 3 Point Podcast listeners can sign up for the newsletter at pickpocketsports.com and you'll be the first to know. Go to the website and enter code 3POINT for 10% off your order. Players and coaches and parents, check out pickpocketsports.com online or find them on Amazon. It's Pickpocket Sports and Outdoors.
It's much more than a gym. It's the Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center. Stocked with a wide array of state-of-the-art cardio and strength equipment, the Wellness Center also offers a variety of fitness classes. Run, jog, or get your steps in on the raised sky track with views of the entire Memorial campus. As part of your membership, enjoy the spa-like locker rooms with private showers. Also included is use of the steam rooms, saunas, and therapy pool. For more details, go online at memorialhealthcare.org or call 989-720-CARE.
Hi, this is Clark Ramsey of the WLEW Sports Network based out of Bad Axe, Michigan. We cover what we affectionately call the Thumb, covering the Big Thumb Conference, now consisting of 29 teams across both 11 and 8-player football, which seems to be growing by the year. In the Thumb, a lot of attention is going to be shifting away from Harbor Beach in the east side as they rebuild after last year's state championship, but also losing 10 starters on both sides of the ball. So to the west fight, primarily between Lakers and Millington. This is where a lot of the attention is going to be going. Now with that, Sandusky will also have something to say about that. They bring back a wealth of talent, including some key positions, including quarterback Jack Betts and all-around athlete Nathaniel Tovar. Jack Betts returns for his senior season at quarterback, throwing for nearly 1,000 yards last year and running for another 500. This is the third year, though, for Sandusky under Ryan Palmer, head coach, who's been transforming their culture into a high, potent offense, primarily through the air, which is interesting because the previous 98 years of Sandusky football, the forward pass was still frankly considered to be illegal. The Wolves bring back 7 starters on both sides of the ball. Most are considering Lakers to be the big man on campus this year, especially in the Big Thumb White division. They are the preseason favorites to bring home that title. Lakers' Lucas Wayner, senior, is one of the most prolific athletes in Thumb, Michigan. He's 6'5", 200-plus pounds. He's a big build with athleticism in every corner, a real threat when paired up with Ben Levasseur at quarterback, also the son of Laker head coach Dave Levasseur. But will Lakers be able to meet those expectations and deal with the pressure of having the target on their back? That's the big question. They have the horses, they have the manpower, the coaching staff, and certainly the facilities. It's just a matter of putting it all together. For Millington, Layden DeLong steps in at quarterback, replacing the now graduated Garrett Woodward. Drake Twilliger saw time at fullback last year and looks poised for having a big year. Millington did lose their center, left, and right guards, but the Cardinals are certainly motivated to make another deep playoff run after being surprised and frankly uprooted last year in the regional championship, quite surprisingly. Lakers and Millington meet in week number 3, a game we'll be covering, and a lot of anticipation is already building for that matchup. The winner of that one will be in the driver's seat for the Big Thumb White title. So, for my 3 teams to watch from the Thumb, Michigan, we have Lakers, Millington, and Sandusky, all in the Big Thumb White division. The 3 players to keep an eye on, also all from the Big Thumb White. Lucas Wayner, who is the tight end, wide receiver, safety, kicker. I think he also drives the bus for Lakers. Jack Betts at quarterback at Sandusky. And then Braxton Colox, a speedster in the backfield at Cass City. He played quarterback in the past. He made the shift to the backfield last year and looks to have a big season for the Cass City Redhawks in 2026. And for the 3 storylines from the Thumb, well, these will be out of date soon, but who will win the Big Thumb White Division title? Is it going to be Lakers, Millington, or Sandusky? It's going to be a good old Big Ten brawl, I think, where everyone's kind of going to beat up on each other as the season progresses. What team will boil to the top of the 8-player divisions? It's been Deckerville's title for a while, but does Kingston have enough to take that reign away from them? And the Big Thumb Black division is wide open and free for the taking. Harbor Beach is rebuilding. Howley is in their second year of a new era, while USA and Reese are looking to finally get over that hump of being a midfield contender. I guess we'll just have to wait to find out. This is Clark Ramsey from the WLW Sports Network. Thanks, guys.
How's it going, everybody? From the 3 Point Podcast, this is Tom Cavenaugh of WHMI 93.5 FM, Livingston County's own. Really looking forward to covering Livingston County High School football alongside the rest of our incredible crew, Ryan Woolley, Lawton Luntz, Noah Drury, Terry Foster, and Rich Renko. You can catch us on Thursday and or Friday nights throughout the Michigan high school football season. Today we're going to take a look at 3 teams to keep an eye on in that county, alongside 3 players to star and 3 interesting storylines that we can look at. And the 3 teams to be mentioned here, the rest is going to kind of revolve around those 3 programs, starting with the Heartland Eagles. A year ago, Heartland 5-5 lost to Detroit Catholic Central in the pre-district. They have not won a district game since 2008. They are 0-8 in the opening district round since 2008, and a very manageable schedule this year. Could certainly surprise some folks in the KLAA and around the county. They got teams like Oxford, Wayne Memorial, Dearborn, Heist, Crestwood, and Dearborn. You get a couple of wins there, you could make some noise against the big boys like Brighton, Houle, and Novi. The next team to really keep an eye on are going to be the Brighton Bulldogs. Good year for them a season ago at 7-4. They were also victims to Detroit CC in the district final, but Brighton was 6-1 in conference last year. Their only loss was to Houle, who won the conference. There's a lot of size and veteran leadership for this Brighton team, but really interested to see how sophomore quarterback Dom DeGosta is able to perform. Young in his career, he's been named the starter as just a second-year high schooler, and if he's able to have a very strong season with all the talent that he possesses, we could see Brighton jump out and raise some eyebrows. Third team to look at are the Howell Highlanders. This is the team that's grown into a perennial contender under head coach Brian Lewis over the past several years. They're back-to-back KLAA champions, defeating Belleville in the title game a year ago, scoring 57 points. They finished 9-2 in 2025. Their playoff loss was in the district final to East Kentwood, which snapped a 7-game winning streak. And they really just ran into a buzzsaw with that East Kentwood team and lost a ton of starting talent from a year ago. So interested to see how they were able to recuperate some of that talent that they lost from last season. Looking at 3 players, each coming from one of these schools here. We're going to start with interior offensive lineman William Tobin out of Heartland. The Eagles recently a commit to Miami of Ohio, going to be a Red Hawk in the MAC. At 6'4", 290, he's an absolute people mover and a multi-sport athlete as a wrestler. First team all-conference and all-county in 2025 on the football field. Tobin going to be the straw that stirs the drink on the offensive line. Now looking over to the Brighton Bulldogs, you have offensive tackle Jack Carlson, a 3-star recruit recently committing to Michigan State, 7th-ranked recruit in Michigan and the 38th-ranked offensive tackle in the country by 247 Sports. At 6'7", 250, he's a ready-made college lineman already before his senior season begins, just by the size of him and the way he spoke about this season coming up, and he's going to headline that Bulldogs offensive line. Third guy to look at, this comes from the Howell Highlanders. It's linebacker and running back Bryce Kish, arguably one of the best players in the state to watch for this year. A 4-star recent commit to Clemson. He was the 5th-ranked recruit in the state of Michigan and the 18th best linebacker in the country per 247 Sports. He's a 4-time all-county selection. He was all-region in 2025, and he's also a track star, so another multi-sport athlete in this group here. But Kish dominates on both sides of the ball, had nearly 1,000 rushing yards, 20 rushing touchdowns, and defensively, he had 37.5 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 4.5 TFLs in just 6.5 full games on the defensive side. Now looking over to some of the storylines for these 3 teams, starting with Heartland. It's a comeback story for head coach Aaron Metz in his 2nd season. He, obviously, it's tough transitioning, being a new first-year head coach and going 5-5. Obviously, having a really good record is tough to do in your first year, but Metz now integrated into the program a little bit more in his 2nd year, he is going to have those Heartland boys ready for a bounce-back season. And a small nugget, he is a teacher at Houle, one of the arch rivals of Heartland. So Metz, during his day job, is teaching a lot of the Houle players that he's going to be game planning against later this season. For the Houle Highlanders, it's going to be interesting to see how they replace a lot of that impact talent from a year ago. They lost 3 starters on the defensive line, 2 off the linebacker group, 4 of their 5 offensive linemen graduated, and both of their star tight ends. Regardless, they will still be a top contender for the conference title again, but we'll just see if it's the same sustained success for this team or if there's a drop-off because of all that impact that left a year ago. Final storyline to look at is out of the Brighton Bulldogs. We mentioned sophomore quarterback Dom DeGosta and senior offensive tackle Jack Carlson, but we add senior wide receiver Jaden Siponaire to that 3-headed monster, and this team's going to go as far as those 3 will take them. And how does the recipe of 2 veteran pillars alongside a younger quarterback, how does that affect this team? Does it bring success? Does it bring struggles? It's going to be interesting to see how a younger quarterback is able to move and succeed in one of the tougher conferences in the state of Michigan, in one of the tougher counties, really. And he's got some help just because of 2 veteran leaders on the offensive line blocking for him, and a star wide receiver out wide in Jaden Siponaire, going to be catching a lot of passes from the sophomore DeGosta. That's going to do it for us here on the 3 Point Podcast. This is Tom Cavenaugh. You can follow me on Twitter at TCAV30, and you can also tune in to WHMI 93.5 FM, Livingston County's own, to check out Michigan high school football on Thursday or Friday nights all throughout the season. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care.
Hi, this is Butch Harmon from High School Sports Scene Magazine, based out of Alma, Ithaca area. We cover high school sports in the mid-Michigan area, all the way from Saginaw Bay County up to the north of Mount Pleasant, down the Lansing area, west to Greenville area, and giving a little information on the upcoming high school football season here. 3 players to watch. I'd start with Wynn Diesel, quarterback from Midland Dow. See if he can throw for 4,000 yards this year after throwing for around, I think it was 3,800 yards last year. Senior year, he's going to be going out with a bang. Another player to watch, Xavier Krieger, quarterback, Mount Pleasant. Led the Oilers to Division III state finals where they fell to DeWitt. But he's back this year for his senior year, and he's got some pretty good weapons, both at receiver and running back, and a pretty good O-line. So people around Mount Pleasant, Saginaw Valley League will be looking for a pretty good offense from Mount Pleasant. And the third player to watch, Channing Ridley from DeWitt, defending state champs. DeWitt lost quite a bit. Panthers lost a lot on offense, but Channing rushed for over 1,000 yards last year, and you can look for him to probably get even more carries heading into this year. 3 teams to keep an eye on this year. Number 1, DeWitt, defending state champs. Lost a lot, but DeWitt, they reload instead of rebuild. You can be certain that Coach Zimmerman has got a good crop of players coming up. You got to see a lot of new names, new faces, but they're talented. I'd say a second team to watch in our area, Mount Pleasant. The Oilers return a lot, return their quarterback, return quite a few linemen on both sides of the ball. This is a team that could easily make another long playoff run. Third, how about those Ithaca Yellow Jackets? They were on a young side last year. This year, a lot more experience. Veteran quarterback, big line, big strong line. Got good weapons at receiver, running back, and a veteran defense. So I'd say the third team there is Ithaca. 3 storylines to look for this year. An interesting one is down in Owasso, where the Trojans had a breakout year last year, posting a 6-win season and getting into the playoffs. Actually, they may have won 7 games. I know that was a big season for Owasso last year, and quite a few players are back this year. The big key is going to be at quarterback, where they're moving Braden Reed, who was a record-setting wide receiver last year, is taking over at quarterback this year. He has played quarterback in the past. If he steps in and puts up the kind of numbers that he did as the production he did at a wide receiver, Owasso might keep the winning ways going this year. Second storyline is this the year Ithaca gets back to Ford Field. It's been a while since the Yellow Jackets were down there. This year's team has all the talent to make it back there. Good offense, good defense, veteran coach. So let's see if Ithaca gets back to Ford Field in Division 7 this year. And another storyline, an 8-man football. Montebello made it to state finals last year. Portland St. Pat won small school 8-man football title. So this year, who's going to be the next area team to get to Ford to get to the state title game in Division 8? I'm looking at Montebello again, maybe getting back, or keep an eye out for a Merrill team. The Vandals have a lot of offensive weapons coming back, and they have some linemen that could easily play at Division 3 or 4 schools in 11-man football. They got great size, great talent across the board, and watch out for those Merrill Vandals. And that's the report here from Mid-Michigan High School Sports Scene Magazine. Follow us, our website, www.highschoolsportscene magazine, and we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Good luck to all the high school teams this year.
Nichols Painting will take care of all your painting needs, whether it's residential, commercial, indoor, or outdoor, and fully insured. Nichols Painting offers quality work at an affordable price. Over 30 years experience with glowing references, you're sure to be happy with your next project. With a team of skilled painters, they provide high-quality painting solutions to enhance the appeal of any space. Nichols Painting did some painting at my place, and we were thrilled with the results. Call or text Josh of Nichols Painting, 989-494-3244 to get your free estimate and schedule your paint job today.
This message is brought to you by the ALS of Michigan. The ALS of Michigan is a nonprofit based in Southfield, Michigan, and is solely dedicated to the fight against ALS. Our mission is dedicated to helping our pals, people with ALS, their families, and caregivers live life as fully as possible. We serve pals and their families throughout the state of Michigan, offering a variety of free programs statewide, including equipment loans, communication support, home visits, support groups, and more. We need your support to continue our mission. You can help by donating with contributions staying in Michigan to support local services, or by volunteering your time and skills. Visit alsinmichigan.org to learn more and find out how you can help. Together we can make a difference in the fight against ALS.
Well, a big thank you goes out to our partners, including title sponsor, the Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center. Follow the Wellness Center on Facebook for more details on what they have to offer, including the upcoming September Challenge. Our other great partners include AZee Branding Agency, Blackstone's Public House, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook & Associates Real Estate Services, Lebowsky Center for Performing Arts, Mars Furniture and Mattress Barn, also Nelson House Funeral Homes, Nichols Painting, Pickpocket Sports and Outdoors, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, the Shiawassee County Fair, and ALS of Michigan. Got to say also, big thank you to our guy there from ESPN, Matt Burns, for putting this all together, man. That's a lot of work involved, getting emails, getting texts, putting it all together in a great format, and we never can say enough for what you do with this podcast, man.
No, I mean, we all have to, like you said, Jared had to round up some people from Detroit, and you've done segments before for the podcast for Detroit. You had you reach out to 6 or 7 of the guys and the experts, and some new ones this year too. Some of the names you were throwing out there, I was like, oh, he's digging into the Rolodex there. But no, I mean, I appreciate it. But no, like we've always said, this is a fun one to put together. And I mean, for anyone that loves high school football in Michigan, tune this on or put this on for a good hour and a half, and you're going to be geared up for the season.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do a great job putting together. I just want to second that, and it's my favorite podcast to listen to every year of ours because it's the only one where I don't have to listen to myself spew nonsense. So that's good.
So thanks to you, and also big thanks to our experts that really they put in the time for us to get out this fun and informative podcast. You know, they do it with the goodness of their heart. You know, we let them get a little promo, but still. It's a big undertaking, and we do appreciate it. Also, by the way, promo for the first Z92.5 game of the year. I mentioned it. It's coming up this Thursday, August 27th. Casey, Bart, and I will be over at Durand. Corona taking on the Railroaders, and hope you can tune into that one. So we're going to wrap it up here. Peace and love, everybody. Be kind. God bless America, and let's get ready for some high school football.